Hey folks, David here. I am going to do a review on a book. The book is called Wiring Projects for Your Model Railroad. So I'm going to do a review here. I'm going to go through the book and kind of show you what's in it real quick and give you my comments on what I think of this book. This book retails for about $20. They are having sales right now, so it's gone down a little bit. I did not pay $20. I think I got this on Amazon for like $13 or something like that. So there are some useful things, and I'll show you what's in here. Okay, wiring projects for your model railroad. Oh, here's the table of contents. Chapter 1, light bulbs and LEDs, small lighting structures, lighting a large structure, animated neon signs, cross bucks and flashing signals, crossing gates, working interlocking semaphore signal, installing and wiring a turntable, electromagnetic uncouplers, adding and wiring a lift out bridge, DC controls for switch machines, control panel with push buttons, install a track scale with LED display, installing a working telephone system, add a fast clock for operations, build a magnetic dispatcher's panel. So those are the topics that are in here. So we'll start with light bulbs and LEDs. Here's an introduction here. So this section here talks about light bulbs and LEDs. Basically it tells you that there are lots of different LEDs that you can buy out there. The helpful thing that it does tell you is the operating voltages, and it tells you in here Ohm's law. So basically if you have a 4.5 volt LED and you have a 12 volt power supply, how to figure out what kind of a resistor you need to put in there. That's basically what it shows you in here. Here's a diagram on wiring in series and wiring in parallel, different connectors you can use, using bus bars. These are LED strips, different kinds, things like that. So it tells you about different kinds of LEDs. I bought this book thinking that maybe I would find some wiring diagrams of things to build, electronics type schematics of things to build, but it really doesn't. This book mostly tells you what's available and what you can make, things like that. So I highlighted this. Oh, okay, so here I highlighted this note here that tells you how to figure the resistance that you need for your LED. So that's why I put this tab here. And I guess it's telling you you should wire them in parallel like this, not series, because if you wire them in series, then if one burns out, then the other ones burn out, that kind of a thing. So that's what it tells you on LEDs. Lighting small structures. Again, telling you different types of lighting that you can get. Some different things. When you light a house, you don't want the whole thing to light up, so you might want to put some blocking material in there. And it's showing you this here, how you block out different sections of it so that the whole thing just isn't lit up. It looks like there's actually a light bulb in there. Different types of lighting to go in here, and where to install them and how to install them. Lighting a large structure. Again, it's showing you that not every single light in a building is always going to be on. If it's a factory, then maybe the whole factory floor would be lit. But if it's an office building, you're just going to light individual windows. And again, different types of lighting that's available. The NEC offers a digital command control accessory decoder called the Illuminator, which can control up to 3 just plug lights. So it's telling you about just plug lights. It's basically telling you things that you can buy and install. Animated neon signs. They're really cool. Where's the other one? The Wonder Bread. That's pretty neat. the ready kilowatt. Again, this isn't telling you much other than you can buy different types of neon signs, and some of them have presets. In other words, you can have the same sign maybe display different things, and you know you might have a couple different options with that particular sign. Let me see. Thought they showed one in here that actually had different ones. So again, not telling you a whole lot other than you can power more than one neon sign with a power supply, so you don't need a separate power supply for each one. And of course, these are not actually neon, they are LED to look like a neon sign. So again, showing you different ways you can mount things. There's a terminal block there. So it's telling you a couple tips on wiring and mounting neon signs and different things that are out there. So cross bucks and flashing signals. Again, I thought maybe there would be some kind of a schematic in here on how to actually make a flashing LED. I have a circuit for it, and I've made my own flashing LEDs. So this isn't showing us much, but what is in here that is helpful is when you're modeling crossing gates, things like that, it's showing you like the distance from the railroad tracks, like where you would have to have this, where we would have to have the sign, different locations of things, and the relative size of the railroad crossing sign, things like that. So that is helpful information in here as far as the different types of crossing guards, how they should be installed, things like that. So again, he's telling you you can get Walther's kit. Oregon Rail Supply Company also sells them. So it's telling you different types of signs and signals that you can get. So it's telling you how to mount them. Train detector circuit is triggered by photoresistors. So photoresistors, you can use IR sensors, and that's showing you that there's a sensor in there. I can tell you from experience, if you put a sensor here right next to it, it's going to take a while before that actually turns on. In other words, there's a delay. So that's not going, your signal's not going to turn on until your train is already like past that point. So you would actually want to put that sensor, at least a foot away, because of course we know that the signals will turn on long before the train gets there. More on crossing gates, different crossing gates that you can buy and how we mounted them. Attached a crossing circuit board, bell ringer board to a piece of wood. I don't know why you would want a bell under your layout. Interlocking semaphore signals. Now again, this isn't telling you a whole lot. You can. Many brass ready-to-install semaphores are available in several scales, including this Tomar HO scale single-arm signal. Tomar models have moving blades controlled by actuating wires. What is interesting about this section is, it explains, if the signal's up, a train is coming. If it's down, then it's clear. Or maybe I got that backwards. But it's telling you the different positions of a semaphore. Some are 2 position, some are 3 position. Yeah. So again, it's just talking about what semaphores are used for and some tips on installing them. Installing and wiring a turntable. This turntable just shows how to turn it 180 degrees. I guess if you had a turntable, you'd want it in a yard that would turn at several different points and have stopping points. Here you have auto reversing circuit, of course, if you want it to go one way or the other way, so it does give you some wiring tips on that. It gives you some installation tips here, how to cut a hole for it, things like that. That's a little bit helpful, how he installed this here. Installing a turntable takes up a lot of real estate on your layout, so that's something that I really wouldn't have room for. But some people like to have a turntable, and there's some ideas on that. We're talking about electromagnetic uncouplers. In other words, you want to uncouple your cars, so you don't want to just put a magnet under there, because as your car goes by, then it might uncouple randomly. So you want to have an electromagnet so that it's not magnetized until you press a button, and then it will uncouple your cars. And again, showing you a KD electromagnetic uncoupler kit. So I'm less than impressed with that. Okay, this is adding and wiring a lift-out bridge. So perhaps you have a doorway or something that you need a lift-out bridge. It tells you a little bit about assembly, and that's pretty cool. It's showing you it's a good idea to put re-railers at the beginning and end of your lift-out, because of course if your lift-out doesn't match up perfectly, you want to make sure it stays aligned. I'm surprised in here in this design. I would think that you would want somewhere in here in your mount something like this, so that is your railroad comes down, that you would have some kind of a guide in here to make sure that that's perfectly centered. I mean, if I was going to make a lift-out bridge, I would put something like that in here, so that it kind of lines itself up, and you're more sure that your track is lined up. That's just my 2 cents on a lift-out bridge. So it's telling you to put feeder wires on both ends of the track. There you go. It shows you a picture of where to put wires to make sure that you don't lose continuity on there. So that's kind of helpful. It's a good tip. DC controls for switch machines. So yeah, you got your Smales, your Tortoise, different types of turnouts, how to wire up a double pull, double throw switch to reverse. In other words, you want your switch to go one way, you turn the switch that way. If you want it to go the other way, to reverse the voltage on the motor to change the function of the switch. Just basically telling you what kind of switches are out there, switch machines. And this is showing how to put switches and LEDs in there, so you know what position your switches are in. I think Thomas Grossi has something like this on his layout. He could probably tell you more about that than I could. Control panel with push buttons. Again, that goes back to the switches, how to create a control panel. It's pretty involved, but that's kind of cool. I think I would do this okay, yeah, talking about the different decoders, digitracks, to control your switches. And yeah, shows you a little basic wiring of how to wire up your switches. Install a track scale with LED display. That's kind of cute, but I don't know why I would want a scale on there on my layout. I don't know. Install a working telephone system. Good grief, man. You can't holler to the guy next to you? It's kind of entertaining, but I really don't know what you would do with that, but okay. Wiring a telephone system. Add a fast clock for operations. So I guess it's to maintain your timetable on an operation. Using a fast clock during operation sessions can help expand the apparent size of the layout, effectively lengthening the time it takes to travel between towns and stations. Mike Dodd offers a fast clock circuit in a kit form or as a completed board. It can control the speed of up to 15 inexpensive clocks placed around your layout room. So that's what it's talking about. Building a magnetic dispatcher's panel. I'm not sure why they're calling it magnetic, but to control switches and animations and things like that in your layout. Showing this guy here has got his hands full. The dispatcher is responsible for routing trains while keeping them safely separated. This centralized traffic control panel gives dispatchers full control over signals and turnouts at passing sidings along a line. So you're controlling your sidings and things like that. And showing you a schematic of what you're controlling, things like that. This guy's very intent on his dispatching. A little bit of woodworking. I didn't really read through all this because it wasn't of interest to me. Basics of soldering. Actually, this is pretty important because I've seen people melt track and ruin things. So heat sinks prevent excess heat from melting ties or damaging sensitive electrical components. So this is a good tip to put your hemostats on there, and so when you solder, it doesn't heat up the rest of the track. The heat soaks into your hemostats. Talking about different types of solder. Solder these days is not made with lead. Most of the solder you buy is lead free, so it's a little bit more difficult to melt. So just keep that in mind. About the author, Larry Puckett. Yeah. So that's wiring projects for your model railroad. Like I said, I found the part here on crossing signals that was interesting because it tells you like where to locate them on your track. Where did that go? Yeah, this here, that was interesting to me anyhow. And of course the basics here on LEDs is kind of handy. So I expected a book that would have some more details or schematics on actually building a project. I thought maybe it would show you like how to make a switch machine, how to wire one up, because that's the kind of guy I am. I make things with the components, resistors and ICs and things like that. I make my own, but so if you buy one of these, it'll tell you how to wire it up. So that's helpful for that. Yeah, an electromagnetic uncoupler. So that's what's in this book. So that's your book, Wiring Projects for Your Model Railroad. Thank you very much for watching. And see you next time.